it's really a blessing to have all these things that most people don't have.
Yeah.
Um, I feel incredibly wealthy. And
Yeah.
I was
And
just thinking about how when I worked, I stuck my toe back into the water of working for other people at the beginning of the pandemic, um, because I had gotten sick a couple of years before that. And so I'd
mm,
gone through all of my savings. So
wow.
when the pandemic started,
Can I ask what was going on in your spirit that you got sick?
oh, just too many years of
2 hours of sleep?
neglect. Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't pay off in the end. You can do a lot of stuff without
Listen,
sleeping, but it will get you in
oh,
the end.
thank you.
It will get you. Your body is gonna say, "You know what? F you. I'm on strike." "Oh,
Listen,
you need air?"
and it's for you. That's what's wild is that you knew you shouldn't be doing all that. You knew you're supposed to be
Right.
getting some sleep and you ignored it. So the body was like, well, if you're gonna keep lying to yourself, I'll be the final one to say no.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
straight up.
Done.
Mhm,
Done.
mhm,
Sit
mhm.
your ass down.
Literally.
Where are you gonna
So
go now?
actually, nothing to do but sit there and rest. Okay, so you dipped your toes back into working for other
Yeah, so I
people.
dipped my toes back into the water of working out there because all of my income, my independent income dried up overnight, and I was
Mm,
like, I better get a job." I
listen,
have
I
no
get
money
it.
in the bank. So, I went and got a job, and, I worked in a psychiatric facility here in downtown Oakland,
Mm,
and most of the, patients were unhoused residents of Oakland who had severe mental health and
mhm,
substance use issues, right?
mhm,
And I feel like one of the beautiful things about working out there is that, it really tunes me up. Oh,
mm.
it requires me to stay spiritually tuned up every day, like,
Interesting.
to the max, right?
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
because if you walk into a setting where people are unhoused, in crisis, in, like, severe pain, emotionally, spiritually, sometimes physically, and you aren't, well grounded and spiritually connected,
Yeah,
you're gonna get sick.
yeah.
You're gonna get so sick,
Mm,
and you might actually end up doing harm.
mm,
And the converse I saw a lot, like, uh, people might actually assault you.
mm.
Um, Not that I'm blaming people who get assaulted, I'm just saying that the energy just kind of goes
Yeah,
into chaos if
yeah,
you don't walk into a place like that very present and
yeah,
very spiritually connected.
yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm
Yeah.
I'm gonna be doing this program. When is this coming out? Because I kinda wanna reveal it on my channel.
Ooh, I didn't pick a date yet,
Okay.
I will tell you as soon as I know.
Okay, for sure, for sure. Well, there's
You
this
know,
program.
I'm newer at editing than you.
I mean, listen, we're all on our journey. I'm gonna be doing this program that is focused on, healing collective trauma and all that, and
Ah,
be one of the
beautiful.
folks to be, like, one of the facilitators of that program, they themselves kinda like how therapists have to, like, kind of, I think, have their own therapist and, like, kinda be
Mhm.
working on this stuff.
Oh,
Um
actually, you know what? In California, they dropped that requirement.
Really?
So when I was going to school and all that, it was actually a requirement, and it would your therapy hours would count towards your licensure hours, which I thought was cool,
Mm.
fair, right?
Yeah.
Uh, they dropped that.
Hmm.
Now they think therapists don't need therapy.
Well, you know California, and I learned that from that Art of Smart Thinking book, used to have some really interesting, and I'm sure they still do, but used to have some really interesting and innovative, like, practices for care that they've also dropped lately. So we're
Mm,
all in our, we're all on our journeys. But yeah,
right.
just the idea about, like, yeah, if you're doing like healing work, it's so much energy that you have to hold. And so, yeah, you need to make sure that you have your act together and you are doing like, you have your own daily spiritual practice and you're constantly grounding yourself. Those facilitators have to like, that they themselves meet separately as facilitators and like do their own work together because, and it's such an awesome responsibility, especially when it's dealing with things around, arguably everything is emotional and spiritual health, but like when that's the clear focus, the responsibility is so much higher in my opinion because the harm can be so much greater and so like deep on this like soul level. So yeah, I'm so glad that it sounds like you were able to really maintain a strong spiritual practice and spiritual health as you were dealing with those populations.
Yes. I felt bad after I left, even though, of course, I wanted to leave and come back to being self-employed and start
Yeah.
Hopeful Tribe and all that. But I felt bad because I would hear from my coworkers that, they just missed me so much
Yeah.
and things were like not the same there anymore. And like nobody was holding that energy.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it just made me kind of sad
Yeah.
because people who are in crisis, who are, you know, what we classify as very, very, very poor, right?
Yeah.
um, they need a lot of spiritual upliftment, and holding. They
Yeah.
really do. And it's sad that that didn't get replaced
Yeah.
after I left.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just we're still stuck in this whole medical model of thinking at most mental health facilities. Like they're not thinking like, what does the whole person need? They're just like, make sure you get your Medi-Cal billing done.
It's wild. Being
It's
so
all about the paperwork, all
yeah.
about the numbers, right? It's
Yeah.
not about, did you help this person get grounded from
Mhm.
their crisis? Did you find them housing before they walked out?
Yeah.
Like what to me is really important. Like, anyway,
Yeah. It's
I could go
real.
on. That could be another interview, right?
It's such a deep, it's such a like, it's so interesting how it's a fundamental thing. It's like the more we are attached to materialism, the more we're gonna think that these are things that matter versus the other.
Mhm,
And I
mhm.
believe that like as we heal ourselves, the system heals as well. So I feel like we're each doing our part to heal the system, and it will change because it's not working as it currently is. And
Right.
I think are all over the place healing themselves. So it's inevitable that these
And
systems are going to heal.
I think I interrupted you, I'm sorry. When you were talking about this new program you're starting, is that with, Thomas?
Evil.
Yeah, I couldn't remember
I
his
talk
last
about
name.
him all the time.
The Healing Collective Trauma guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I talk about him all the time. I'm so
yeah.
excited. I'm really, really excited. I think what really excites me about the program is that he does this great metaphor about how like when one person like goes to like a weekend spiritual retreat and they kind of have some kind of breakthrough of healing and they come back and what how that influences their family and whatever. He uses this metaphor of like if you like you have like a cabinet in your kitchen where you put your utensils, and if you have like this spoon and you bend it out of shape, right, it's no longer going to fit in that drawer, so now you have to change the drawer, and because you change the drawer you then have to change the kitchen, because you change the kitchen you have to change the house, because you change the house you change the neighborhood. And it just kind of sprinkled like ripples out, and so every time you make any slight change the whole is affected by that. And so just thinking about how each of us individually as we heal are healing everyone, and then when we as get in these groups and these collectives to this healing work together, that's upgrading the entire system to then be able to deal with more complex challenges. And as we deal with those we upgrade again, so just kind of being a part of this much larger process of healing. And at first
Mhm,
that really scared me because I hadn't done as much healing work as I've done now, and even now
mm.
I'm still early in my journey. But the thought of like some of these big collective traumas, I was like, you want me to be thinking about? I was like, I don't know about all that. And then I realized, like, because it's a 2-year program, like, and he's done this multiple, like, I think it's maybe 6 or 7 times he's done this program. So it's like, it's designed so that you are slowly healing yourself as a collective. You are growing together and getting closer and growing this field, so that by the time these big things that you as a group are processing come up, there's enough space and enough strength in that collective field to let these things come up and not overwhelm the group.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it feels like when I first heard about it, I was in that mindset of like this being a checklist, spirituality being this thing I can check off my list so I can go back to
Right.
what I do. And so I was like, great, I'm gonna get my little master's degree in spirituality. We gonna knock this out 2 years, bet. Now I understand that like truly this is the I want to actually do this work. And it doesn't
Yes.
scare me. It still scares me a little bit, but I know that I will be equipped to do this work. And I literally can't think of anything that I would rather, that I think is more important for me to be doing. Um, and I think I included this I made like a follow-up video to my very first video about quitting my job where I was out in Costa Rica and I was talking about how as soon as I was introduced to the work that Thomas People was doing, I was like, this is it. Like this is the work. Um,
Mhm.
and I didn't know what that would look like yet. And I was still scared because I was like, no, YouTube is my work or whatever else. But I already see the way that like just with doing this program, I'm getting closer and closer to doing the work where I'm like, every other problem, racism, capitalism, like hurting our environment, like misogyny, like all these other big issues all come down to us repeating cycles of trauma. So if we
Mhm.
heal them collectively, we are going to just unleash all of this energy and all of this love that's been currently trapped in these cycles of trauma. And that's going to affect every single system that's currently in dysfunction. So I'm just like, I can't think of anything I'd rather be doing that's more important for me. And I'm just really, really excited.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah, and I think you're right. I think that this is really important, and I feel like especially right now, we need more people with your kind of spirit and personality to
Yeah.
get involved
Yeah.
in our collective healing. It's
Mhm.
just so much work.
Yeah, it's a big thing. But what's so beautiful is that we each have our little piece, you know? Like in being with this
Yes.
little tribe, you're living your piece. And I think that's why
Mhm.
I didn't want to dishonor your truth of feeling that sadness towards not being in your other role.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason that you're called into this role. And it's because this
Yes.
is the way that you'll actually make the impact you want to make. Like I don't know if you do, but to me, I'm like, it's clear that in that role, you wouldn't have been able to make the impact that you know you're supposed to be making, which is it's one that's a divine purpose, right? And so as you live into your divine purpose, the way you're going to impact and help people and change the entire ecosystem, not just the single system, you know, in your
Right.
is going to be like that's why if you weren't called to this, you would still be working at that house or in that center, you know. So
Yeah.
just want to affirm that you know you're living your truth, and so of course you can mourn that there's more work to be done, but you're doing the work.
Yes, Esmeralda agrees. She says
Oh, that was low. That was
that was dog language for yes, yes, mama. Yes,
Ihezie.
listen to Chimdi. And when you do Hopeful Tribe, I can lick you midday. You big
She was
goofball.
missing you.
She's such a good dog.